Hello friends, this is Adam with Movie Guy 365, and with Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker opening this week, I think it's time to rank my personal list of all the Skywalker saga films. If you're new to the channel, please hit the like button, subscribe, hit that bell notification. I put out videos every single day. You can also find me over Twitter and Instagram at MovieGuy365, as well as over at the Disney Magic Hour podcast. I will leave a link for that in the description. Alright, so The Rise of Skywalker, the final saga film in the Star Wars universe, is nearing its completion. So after this, they're going to do, whatever their spin-offs, TV shows, whatever they're going to do in movies. But this is going to end the Skywalker saga as we know it. Episode 9 is about to be released, so I thought it would be time to do an actual ranking of all the films. Now, I'm only going to be including the Skywalker films. I'm not including Solo or Rogue One, anything like that. So this is just going to be episodes 1 through 8 as we know it, my personal rankings, and a little reason as why I feel that they deserve the list. Alright, so once again, as I do with all my lists, this is a very subjective list. So yours is absolutely going to be different. And I really encourage you to share that in the comment below. What are your personal rankings? But these are my personal rankings as I know it. And all right, let's dive in. Let's go. All right, so my number 8 is going to be Attack of the Clones. And I hate to say, I don't hate any of the Star Wars films. I really don't. I find redeeming qualities in each one. But I feel Attack of the Clones was a very good, kind of setup film, setting up the Clone Wars and all that. And of course, you get the Clone Wars cartoon series. But I feel like the big meat and potatoes of that conflict we kind of miss out on. It's really relegated to the last 25 minutes of the film. And there's a lot of lead up, and there's a lot of unnecessary, filler here and there. And it's just, I think I would have ranked this a little higher if it had an overly satisfying lightsaber duel. We really didn't get that here. We got a good, once again, set up for that. But of course, they really wanted to show off the CGI Yoda. I didn't think it looked good. I think it kind of was a little goofy. And it just, I don't know, it just didn't really work for me. So for that reason alone, that's where I have to put this one on my personal list. My number 7 is going to be the Phantom Menace. The lightsaber duel alone saved this one, honestly, because it was so epic. It was really awesome. It's a choreographed dance between warriors, and I really enjoyed those things. But there are a lot of things I didn't dig, come on, I know Jar Jar is a nice excuse everybody uses, but just kind of the dialogue was really stiff, and it just felt like this was more of Lucas kind of shaking off the cobwebs type of film. There's a lot of good moments here. I always believed the prequels never should have included Anakin as a boy. I think that could have been done a comic series or something like that. I really think Attack of the Clones should have been episode 1. We should have had Revenge of the Sith episode 2, and then I think the episode 3 should have been Vader going out doing his thing. I think that would have been amazing. We would have gotten a full Vader film as part of the saga. I really think that would have worked. But having the boy thing felt just, I don't know, it didn't really work for me. I understand some plot points kind of required him to be a child, but overall, I think it was set in the wrong time period as far as his life goes. So just basically, that's really the reason it's on this part of the list. My number 6 is going to be The Last Jedi. Look, I know this is very divisive of a film. You either love this film or you hate it. I believe it or not, I'm not in either camp. I think Rian Johnson is a good director. I don't think he made a good Star Wars film. I think he really kind of disregarded a lot of stuff that was set up for him. And I think it was more of his, almost a little bit of his ego saying, hey, I'm going to subvert expectations, look at me. And I don't know, but I'm not going to lay all the blame on him. I think there's a lot of weird stuff going on over as far as Lucasfilm goes ever since it was purchased by Disney. I'm not going to blame Disney. I'm not necessarily going to blame Kathleen Kennedy, although I think there's some factors to warrant both parties kind of having partial responsibility. If you're making these films, you've got to have a plan. And they keep saying over and over, oh, well, you didn't have a plan. Come on. You want to peel that off on a spin-off, great. But you don't want to do that on a core Skywalker saga film. And really, that's kind of where I land on it. It's a fine movie. It's made really well. There's a lot of great scenes and a lot of good stuff. but it's not, in my opinion, it's a bit too preachy, and it doesn't feel like a Star Wars saga film. I think it's just kind of like the black sheep of the family. A lot of people feel that way, and a lot of people love it, and that's great. But for me, it's kind of on the bottom tier. My number 5 is going to be The Force Awakens, and I really enjoyed it. It's a yes. I mean, I think it's pretty much common knowledge or common belief. It's really a retread of A New Hope, and it feels that way several instances. Did you really need a planet-killing size Death Star? You know, you're playing too much on the nostalgia without like reinventing or inventing something new for yourself. There's some good. I think it's shot really well. I think it looks good. But overall, it doesn't have a whole lot of substance, and it was just one of those films. I actually just rewatched it last night in preparation for Rise of Skywalker, and you know, it's fine. It has some moments, but I think it relies way too much on the past in order to you know break through to its own future. So that's why it's my number 5 on that one. And my number 4 is going to be Return of the Jedi. I like this one a lot, but this one I think more than most hasn't aged as well for me, and it's just it has a lot of good moments, and I love the music. I think John Williams' duel scene with the Emperor and Vader and Luke was really good. It was a highlight of, I feel, the series. And I don't really feel like I have to knock it for anything, but I'm always going to knock it for the Ewoks, because, you know, when you know what the original plans were to include the Wookiees as part of that plan, I think that would have made it so much more epic. And we got a really, really brief, watered-down version of that in Revenge of the Sith. So I think Return of the Jedi, just, you know, just for more of the reason that it just hasn't aged as well for me. It's still a good film. I love watching it. I'm anxious to check it out again in the near future. But yeah, I think that's where I would land Jedi. My number 3 is going to be Revenge of the Sith. I think out of all the prequels, this was my favorite. This one had some good moments, had some great, you know, the actual origin of Darth Vader. You know, and there, of course, that love story is always going to be there, and it is a catalyst. But I think that it still holds up as a good film. It has a great opening, but I really would have wished we would have seen a little bit more of just like a brutalness of like Anakin. I think we got some of that, but a lot of it's off screen, like alluded to. But it's just kind of, it does falter in a few places. But I still really enjoy it. We got to see Mace Windu and Kit Fisto and some great, you know, EU characters just get in there. And we got to see the Emperor do his thing. And Palpatine is just like kind of being a badass. And I enjoyed that one. And of course, you know, they have a lot of like lore moments in this one. I really enjoy it. So Revenge of the Sith is going to be my number 3. My number 2 is going to be A New Hope. You have to give respect where respect is due. While it's not my favorite of the 3 original trilogy, it's still the one that started it all. This movie was clearly influenced by a lot of things like Westerns and Japanese samurai films. And I think really it continues to this day, that influence. But this is it. Come on, this was the core Star Wars film. It still, I feel, holds up really well. I'm not going to touch on the special editions. Yes, I would love theatrical cuts of this. Honestly, I think we'll get them eventually. But yeah, just the core Star Wars film, just the original, unfiltered version, unaltered. This is why it is on my list. And my number 1 is going to be The Empire Strikes Back. And I think a lot of people would agree. This is probably the best Star Wars film to date. And it has a lot going for it. It's a lot of cool moments. It's very atmospheric. Has some noticeably improved dialogue. And it's just overall a fun film. We got like introduction to, of course, like characters like Boba Fett and several scenes like that. And it's funny about Empire. I was discovering stuff even years and years later. You know, the whole scene, I always wondered these things, or like the whole scene with Han and getting tortured or interrogated by Vader. I was like, what was the point of that? Like, I never knew that. And then suddenly I just had like a moment, and I'm like, oh, it's because the Force affects the past, it affects the future. So what Luke was feeling in his training time with Yoda, that's because of that result. That kind of blew my mind in a way. Like, just those little moments and those little things, like, just, you discover years later, it still holds up incredibly well. Empire Strikes Back is still my favorite film. So yeah, we'll see what Rise of Skywalker does. It has a lot to live up to, and there's going to be a lot of, I think, a lot of split with the fans. but I think I'm ultimately hoping for a good movie. So let me know in the comments below what your personal list is of the Star Wars saga films, what you think of all these movies, and what are your favorites, what are your least favorites. But let's remember, these are all subjective, so let's try to keep things calm in the comments, and let me know why you feel the way you do. So in the meantime, please like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. I put out videos every single day. So until next time, this is Adam with Movie Guy 365. I will see you at the movies.